Hey, this is David Perdue from MyNAMS.com and the Novice to Advanced Marketing System. And today is January 2nd. Happy New Year, 2015. Holy cow. You know, it amazes me how fast the years go by. And I can't believe we're not flying in flying cars because, you know, all of that stuff. When I was growing up many years ago, we were supposed to be doing all that stuff by the time we hit 2000. And instead, what we ended up doing was making sure that we didn't blow up the world with Y2K, but we're a little behind on the futuristic stuff, I think. But on the other hand, iPad, iPhone, and if you're as old as me, you get an AARP magazine, which is loaded with technology improvements this month, and man, there's a ton of them coming. It's really amazing. Some of the stuff, and it looks like the wearable technology is the big thing for the next year, so that's going to be really interesting. So anyway, today is the MyNAMS Insiders Club Hangout, first one of 2015. We put all of the Hangouts in a tab page so that you can go back and watch them or find others if you missed something and you want to go back and find it. One of the things we haven't done in the past is index those. We don't take the transcripts from those and load them in because the YouTube transcripts are really pretty bad, but it's a good place to start, I think. So we might end up doing that as well and dropping those YouTube transcripts under there so you can at least figure out a little bit about what these are about instead of just having to pick through and figure out what they are. So we're trying to do a lot of improvement, add a lot of value this year, and we've and as you could see from some of the stuff I've posted, we've built a new funnel for our entire business model. We're changing our entire business model. We're getting away from nickel and dime stuff to really focusing on 5 different level areas in the business, and lumping value on a stacked level as we go, so that people are going to learn more at the level that they're at. That, you know, you choose the level you want, and it's like an all-you-eat buffet kind of thing. So you get what you want, as much as you want, for that price level. And then we'll be moving through the system as we go and explaining a lot more about that. We're planning. My wife and I are comparing calendars right now and planning our 2 mastermind sessions that we're going to do this year. Probably one in May and probably another in October or November of next year, and we'll be rolling those out to people so you can sign up for the masterminds if you want. That will be 6 to 10 people meeting near us, and we'll use our whole land to do all of our land to do a experiential kind of thing, and also focus on building businesses and learning from each other in a mastermind session. So that's one of the things I'm looking forward to. So anyway, these Q&As, we try to get people in so that they can, so that we understand what your problems are and answer those questions. Now, we try to keep track of that via Facebook, but you also can type in your questions here in the chat box on the right of the page. If you came in through the Webinar Jam link, which all of you did if you registered and I see your names, you can type in questions in here, and we'll try to get those answered as well. But also, when we do these are between 30 and 60 minutes each week, and one of the things we try to do is talk about something specific to help you in get a little bit more of a deep dive into some topics as we go along. Now, we've got a bunch of new members coming in, so that's the reason I'm giving you a little bit more background today about this. And one of our insider members, David Baer, is a Facebook expert. He has a lot of experience in Facebook, and I asked him to be on today so we could talk about that, because one of the things we're doing in the challenge this month is the Kindle ebook, creating your Kindle book and getting it up. Now, what happens when you get it up? If you don't promote it, it's just going to sit there, and that's not what we want. We want you to actually get it up, get use out of it, and continue to build more Kindle books, because Kindle books are great promotional tools. And if you want to be an authority and you want to be somebody who is an expert, and you want to portray yourself as an expert, you need to have some books, and they can be short, and that's one really good thing about Kindle, is you can put up short books. So one of the great ways to promote this is via Facebook. Now, I'm not a Facebook expert. I need to learn more and more about Facebook and using Facebook funnels to drive a lot more traffic. That's one of my main goals, is to build a lot more automated funnels. David is doing that already for himself and some clients. So David, are you here? Are you ready?
I am here and I'm ready.
So this is David Bear. He's one of our insiders, and he's been an insider for quite a while, and I've been really tickled to have him in because he's a great contributor, and he likes to get in the middle of all the stuff going on in the insider Facebook group. And if you're not a member of that yet, you need to be, so you get in there. So David, tell us your experience with Facebook and how long you've been using it and what your success has been so far, or what you've learned so far from Facebook.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of questions there.
Yep.
I have been both very unsuccessful, lost a lot of money, and then ultimately, as a result of losing a lot of money, learned some lessons and become more and more careful and strategic about how I use Facebook. So I use Facebook for a few different ways to promote my clients' businesses, and I work primarily, although not exclusively, with wineries. And then I also have attempted to promote various business ventures of my own, and that's where I tend to lose the money. The path that I use, so initially I was promoting everything off of my personal Facebook profile. Something that's very important to know is that that is against terms of service of Facebook, and a lot of people do that. But there's both breaking rules issues, as well as just some systematic challenges with using a personal profile, because Facebook doesn't give the personal profile the same range of privileges that a Facebook, used to be a business page, now it's called a fan page, has. And so building fan pages, and you can build a limitless number of them, is really the way that you want to be setting up any promotion on Facebook, whether it's for a book, whether it's for an entire business. It could be a cause, it could be anything, but a fan page is the basis for advertising and marketing, and where all of the apps that you started to mention come into play as well.
Okay, so let's make sure we understand two things, because this is really important. We talked about, somebody posted something in the Insiders group about Facebook jail. It was an article about Facebook jail and how to stay out of Facebook jail. I thought it was pretty good. 5 ways to do that. And you piped in there and said you'd been in Facebook jail, and luckily you had another account because they closed one of your advertising accounts.
Yes, correct.
In Facebook jail. So I would be absolutely petrified of losing my Facebook account. And you can actually do that if you violate those terms of services, right?
Yes, absolutely. Now, there's different things you can lose. I simply lost access to my ability to advertise with that account, but I still have that account. That's my main account. I also had a second account, which is the one that I use to manage all of my clients' accounts, and luckily that hasn't been penalized.
So I think what I'm hearing from you is that one of the keys here is to make sure, when you're first starting out especially, that you're incredibly conservative in your use of Facebook, to make sure you don't stretch any rules, right? And I lost my Google AdSense account about 2 months after I started using Google AdSense, and I still don't know why. It was 2005. They didn't tell you why. They didn't do any of that. Then they still don't. And I've never been able to get it back. I could have set up a bunch of other accounts and all that kind of stuff, and there's ways to get around it, but I didn't go down that route. And I just decided that if it was that iffy for me, that I wasn't going to get involved in Google AdSense, and I didn't. I focused on other stuff. But I thought I was being conservative, but you have to be incredibly conservative and follow the rules to the letter of the law, especially if you're just starting out, because you want to be very safe, right?
Well, I will say that a lot of folks here in this community are probably being subjected to the same range of marketers' solicitations that you and I get all the time, a lot of which is for, here's the new hot way to do something on Facebook. Some of it is white hat, and some of it is gray, and some of it is black hat, in terms of conforming to the terms of service. And I listened to the wrong people initially and did some things that I ought not to have done. And I think that that's where I think your be conservative advice really comes into play.
So I'll give you an example of building an audience on Facebook for me that was an issue for my fan page. Was that when we first started, we did a contest for the fan page, and we marketed to a group of people. It was the likes of friends, but we didn't target really closely and really well about the kinds of friends that we wanted to market to. So, or the geography and all of that. So I ended up with 2,800 likes on my Facebook page and my fan page, and I would say less than half of them were target market. So I had to go back through and kind of delete them, and that took a lot of time to get rid of them, because that actually affects your engagement, right? So talk about advertising on Facebook and how important your fan base is to that.
Okay. Well, we had a post a few days ago in the Insiders Facebook group on this very subject, and I think I posted something saying, "Wait a second, this may not be the best idea." The request was, "Okay, everybody put your Facebook page up, and everybody else go and like all of them." And my response to that was, "That's a great idea if the topic is relevant. If you plan to be engaged with that page owner, that's a great idea." The problem that many of us run into, and most small businesses run into as well, is going out and asking all of their relatives and all of their friends and anybody who they possibly can to like the page to pump up that number.
Right.
There's a few problems with that. The first one is that Facebook doesn't see the engagement because the people who like the page are not involved in the page in any way, and as a result, the organic reach of posts that a business puts up is very, very low. It doesn't get seen at all. Those numbers have been dropping and dropping over the years anyway, because there's so much more activity on Facebook that the competition for the amount of things that a person can see in their feed in any given day, there's just so much more stuff, to compete for that time and that attention. The second problem relates directly to advertising, and there is one strategy among the many strategies that exist in advertising called lookalike audiences. This is a little, this is 200 level, but one of the things that I really love about Facebook is that it is great at targeting both consumers and solo entrepreneurs. It's not ideal for B2B sort of marketing, but it's great for targeting people based on so many characteristics, demographics, activities that they engage in. And so if you have your initial fan base, your initial audience that you've gotten to your page to like and participate in your page, you can actually clone that audience, and Facebook, with all of its data and all of the various partners they work with, all the credit card companies and all of the data companies that share that information with Facebook, you can create what they call a lookalike audience. And so if you're starting with something really good and really targeted to begin with, that lookalike audience and that ability to broadcast more broadly to a similarly relevant audience is great. However, if you start with garbage at the beginning, then you end up marketing to garbage, on an ongoing basis.
Yeah. So let's actually get a little tactical here with that, because the lookalike audience, I think, is incredibly important. You can actually build a custom audience with an email list, right? That is a lookalike audience. I think you can do that through Facebook. Is that correct?
I'm repeat the question. I got distracted by reading some of the questions in the comments.
Oh, sure. You can actually build a lookalike audience based off of an email list that you import, right?
So the email list that you import, or any other number of lists, they call those custom audiences. As long as there are 100 records in that are linked to Facebook accounts. So you could import an email list, but they may not all be emails that are the same emails that Facebook has as
Got
the
it.
email register to that account. So as long as you have 100 of those or more, then you can create a lookalike audience off of that.
Okay, so the reason I was asking about that was because if I wanted to, let's say I want to go out and get 1,000 new members in the Insiders Club. If I start with the Insiders Club as my base, the emails and the people that are in the Insiders Club as my base, whether that's an email list or those people on my fan page or whatever it is, reduced down to just the insiders, then that would be a pretty good lookalike audience to start with. Can you do a lookalike audience from a group versus a page? Do you know that?
Can you? You cannot do that anymore.
Okay.
There's some technicalities there, but you used to be able to what was referred to as scraping, where you could gather all of the IDs of people in groups in various places. That's against terms of service now, and that's one of many reasons why people might get their account shut down. But now you do it based on a number of other criteria, including pages that people like or are fans of, as well as many other things that. Yeah.
So I want to come back to your concept to the discussion about the fan page. We've got a couple of good questions here I want to get back to in a second as well, but it's just like your email list. If you don't get the right people targeted on your fan page, you've diluted your fan page base, is what you're saying. And by diluting that fan page base, that's where you want the most engagement. And one of the things that I do, by the way, when I get friend requests every day, I get 10 to 15 friend requests every day. I go look at people's, even if they have 100 friends in common now, because people just say yes way too often. I go look at their profiles, because if they don't do anything that is relevant to what I do, I don't accept them anymore, because I want friends that will engage with us on our fan page as well. And I'm trying very hard to get our entire Facebook focus to be in the same area. And I do have some friends that I keep in there, but if it's true friends, people that I've met, family, all of that kind of stuff, that's probably less than 100. The rest of the people that I am friends with are business associates, and I'm really honing in on trying to get that done. Now, friends are different, of course, from your fan page likes. And people who like your fan page, you really want to make sure that they're going to engage with you as well. And for that reason, it's like diluting your email list, and you'll get less opens. Esley here says, can you give an example of a no-no? Something you shouldn't do, and you've already said a couple of things I want to come back in on really tightly here, and add one that is some misinformation that we got at one of our workshops, and I was devastated when we did that. Well, not devastated, but really concerned. The first thing is, you said a couple of things earlier about things that you shouldn't do, and one is don't post your business stuff on your profile page, right?
That's not exactly what I said. It's that using your personal profile as a business, or using a personal profile as a business, is against the terms of service. However, you can certainly promote business stuff on a personal profile. Do you follow the distinction? So you cannot be a business in a personal profile.
But if you're doing offers always on your personal profile, that gets to being a business, right?
I think there's probably some gray area there. You see this all the time all over Facebook with internet marketers who are doing just that. However, they are representing themselves as individuals. If you took, I'll use
take my name. If I start posting stuff from MyNAMS about joining the Insiders group or whatever, and I put the links out there for joining the group, and I do it from my personal page, that's iffy if I do too much of that, right?
If you do too much of that, but if your personal page is, first name my, second name NAMS, that's what's not appropriate.
Right.
But you're posting it as David Perdue, that's okay.
To an extent. Now, I've heard other people say that they've gotten their accounts closed because it's a flag when they are posting too many of those kind of things
Yep.
on there.
This flag that you're talking about, this is what has been behind a lot of the recent concern about Facebook basically shutting down businesses who don't pay for stuff. Is that I don't know how many people in this group do this, but if you see something that you don't feel is relevant, or you don't like, or you don't want to see anymore, there's a little tab where you can click on that and say, I don't want to see this stuff anymore. And so that's the flag that I think you're referring to, is that when people see too much promotional stuff, too much overtly promotional stuff, whether it's from a personal page or a business page, they start flagging it. Then Facebook responds.
They take notice.
Takes notice.
If
it's a personal page and there's too much of that, then it could certainly get shut down.
Okay, and one other thing that you said that other people did, and Facebook just came down with a big hammer on that, was scraping.
Yep.
There was a lot of software out there that you could buy to go scrape a group and get the contact information from that entire group, and then you target them and just hammer to those people in your advertising. And that's a very effective way of targeting, but Facebook felt like that was fish in a barrel or something, and they didn't like it, so they closed a lot of accounts for that reason.
I have YouTube videos that I put up with affiliate links to various pieces of software that are scraping software, and I get more comments and more questions on those videos than probably anything else still, and I really ought to take them down, because yeah, scraping is a no-no.
Yeah, it is a no-no, and it also is. It's one of those things that works so well, you're just really tempted to do it, and
Right.
don't do it. That is, and if you don't understand what scraping is, just don't go there, because it's going to get you in trouble. You want to build a legitimate fan base with legitimate people. Okay, so now let's see. John says, would it make sense to just have a second account link to manage your pages used solely for advertising to stay out of trouble from day one? So I know that Facebook's term of services is each individual has one account. Is that right?
That is correct, and so hopefully there's no Facebook officials watching this this video, since I've already admitted to having more than one.
Yeah. So right, we're not going to send this over to them, but and there are people with more than one account, but you can have more than one accounts if you manage as an agency, isn't that right? But it's all under an umbrella kind of thing.
Yes, and Facebook has actually created this. I forget what it's called, Business for Facebook, or Facebook for Business framework now, to be able to allow an individual to create an agency with that single account. It's already created some problems for me, and I stopped using it right away.
Right.
But that is possible.
Okay. So Craig says, would it be the same as liking your own business pages? Is it okay, or should that be minimized as well?
I think that that's absolutely fine, and in fact, that's one of the strategies that is really effective in boosting the organic reach of something. So, David, you were talking earlier about finding the right sorts of friends to accept and not accept, right? Well, I think if you're going to, as a Facebook page admin, want to share the stuff that's related to your Facebook pages with your friends, then you also want to make sure there's something that's relevant, between those two audiences.
Right.
The point that I started to make and then sort of went on a tangent there for a moment was that in order to boost the organic reach of stuff that you post on your Facebook page, liking it and sharing it yourself is actually very, very effective. So when I post something on the Bear on Marketing Facebook page, I won't share every single one on my personal profile, but when I know that there's something there that I want more people to see, I will personally share it and personally like it, and then I see the stats on those particular posts are much, much higher. The reach organically is much higher. So that's actually an okay thing. Facebook doesn't frown upon it, and there's an advantage to doing it.
Okay, good. So let's see. Art makes a really good point here. He says use the Facebook tools in their ad areas. You can't go wrong with using the tools they give you. So that's a really good point. Um, let's see. He has a question. To be a page admin, you need to like the page. David is exactly. That's not a question. It's a comment. David is exactly right. To be a page admin, you need to like the page. Okay. So let's see. There's one other thing that somebody said at the workshop that just made my skin crawl, and they said, go buy Facebook likes. And I saw the same person at another workshop or seminar later, and I was standing next to Dr. Ben Adkins, who is somebody who is a very well-known Facebook teacher and course creator and does really well with Facebook. Mm-hmm. And he follows everything that works and doesn't work on Facebook. So when the person from the stage said, go buy Facebook likes, I was standing next to Ben and I said, and what do you think about that? And he said, get your Facebook account closed in a heartbeat if you do that. So that's a big no-no, is buying Facebook likes. Now they have to catch you doing that.
And to clarify, there's a difference between buying likes and promoting your page to get likes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So in fact, let's talk about some funnels now, because we got books coming out that we're going to want to promote, right? And one of the promotional tools that we'll have for a Kindle book is that we will have some free days that we want to promote those books. Well, if you're promoting your book for free, and Brian talks about this a lot in the webinar that's on our challenge this month. If you're promoting the book for free, you want to make sure you get as many people to download it as possible, because Amazon sees that as engagement. They see that as people making decisions to get your book. They will promote your book heavier. That's the reason you do a free book in your Kindle book. So let's say you do 5 days of free. Talk about what you would do as a strategy for creating funnels on Facebook to promote that.
Okay. I would probably do a few things. I wouldn't necessarily build a page around the business or the book and then go for likes. I would rather build a page that was specific to either the broader subject around the book or series that you're putting together, so that you can keep using that page. And I don't really care how many people like the page. The point of that page is really just to be the framework to be able to advertise whatever it is I want to advertise to that audience, because you can only advertise with a particular page sponsoring it. And then I would start filling that page with content specific to the subject matter of the book before I even send anybody over there, because we don't want to be promoting stuff to an empty environment. And then it depends on what the subject of the book is, how easily we can find the right audience for it. But let's take my subject range of wine information for consumers. Well, I would probably go out and create audiences in the Facebook's advertising section has this amazing area called Audience Insights, where I can sculpt an audience based on so many different factors. And I might create some posts specific to the subject of the book and promote those posts to people with a call to action. And I can actually even pixel putting a code into people who click on that post, so that I can start creating one of those custom audiences that we were referring to earlier based on somebody's action of clicking that. So I'm already starting, whether they end up buying the book or not, I'm already starting to develop an audience based on people's actions of responding to a post that I put out there. Is this all making sense so far?
It is. You got into pixels, which means that people went a little bit,
okay,
weird there, because we have to talk about that, I think, later as we get down some. So the thing I heard, though, that's really important, I rushed to write this down so that we could add this to our Facebook group inside, so that people understand this. If you got a book that's coming out at the end of the month as a result of this challenge, you need to be setting up a Facebook page now so that you can start driving content to that Facebook page and launch your book later with already with people interested in the subject. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but I don't think that there's an urgency to do that immediately. I mean, I throw a page up in 20 minutes, and finding you know, 24 relevant blog posts or images or something, and just creating that page. The point is that you just want to have something there before you start sending people there. So I don't think
if you do that I mean, okay, but wouldn't you want to be able to? You said use that page for other stuff on that topic, right?
Yep.
And so if you do that, wouldn't you want to have quality stuff that would get engaged and shared and as much as possible over time to do that, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't think you need a month of planning to do it. Is my point.
Okay.
You know, this could be something that somebody could do in the final week of the month and still be all right.
Okay, so now pixels. You introduced it. Tell people what a pixel is.
All right. Well, I think the best explanation of a pixel is very similar to any sort of tracking code that we're probably familiar with, the Google tracking code for analytics. It's just a short piece of code, or in the case of Facebook, it's actually not very short, that you put somewhere, and it will record the people who come and visit that place. And that place could be a Facebook post, and there are different, a dark post, which is an ad that doesn't run on the main. I'm getting really deep here, aren't I?
Yes.
I see you, David, going, oh, no, don't go there yet. So you could put that on a web page. You could put that inside an app on your Facebook page. You could put it in an advertisement style post, which is what a dark post is. It's a post that doesn't appear on your page, but only as an ad. And you can put it in many other places. It's simply code that will capture that visitor, and then you can use that data that you're compiling in some other way. Retargeting is something that is typical for this, but there's other things we talked about, like creating lookalike audiences that you can use pixels for as well.
Okay, so we got some questions now.
I'm going to stop opening my mouth. It's getting more and more muddy in here.
First off, Teresa said, speaking of Brian, I can't find the webinar on the Kindle 30-day challenge page. It's under the webinars tab at the bottom now, where all three of those webinar things are. So you should be able to click on the webinar videos tab and see all three. So anyway, mine's not coming up over here, and I don't want to use so much bandwidth while we're doing this. But anyway, it's on the site now. John says retargeting with the pixel. So you just talked about the pixel, but we didn't talk about retargeting, and we're getting into some really deep stuff here that we could not possibly cover in this next 15 minutes. So let's just say that retargeting concept is that when people come and visit, here's an example. My wife went and bought some shoes at Zappos, and she looked all day on Zappos, right? And so the next day and the next 10 days, basically, whenever she went to the web, she's getting ads for Zappos. And it's because Zappos identified her as somebody who did not complete the task that they wanted them to complete, and until she completes the task that they wanted her to complete, they're going to send her, or they're going to be able to focus some of the advertising on the sites that she visits, including Facebook and Amazon and elsewhere, based on retargeting advertising. Now what that does is it gets you incredibly focused exposures to people who are already interested. And it starts with a pixel. Isn't that correct, David?
That is correct. And that's just one application of it, but that's a good example of it. And Zappos is a classic one. I think I see Zappos ads all the time. Yeah.
Right. So now pixels are becoming more and more important in your in all of your tracking and your advertising and your content creation. So, for example, um, here's an example of a pixel that didn't work for us. Um, David and I were talking about this before we came on. We started testing a new company called Lead Outcome, which is kind of like Infusionsoft, but it's $59 a month instead of $300 a month. And it works through tagging processes. So I moved everybody into Lead Outcome who had been a prior MyNAMS Insiders member. And I sent them a specific email series that said, rejoin, get your old rate back, whatever that was. If you came in on the early bird, it could have been as low as 27 or it could be as much as 47. Whatever your old rate was before the end of the day, the second, and you'll get that old rate. Otherwise, after that, it goes to $97 a month. So I created three emails and ran people through that email series. Now, we had pixels set up on those emails and on our web pages so that we knew where people were in the system. And we actually gave people a score based on the engagement, how much they went back and forth through the site, and all of that stuff. So you can do that once you know what people are doing. It's really like Big Brother in a little bit, because you can actually follow people when they go through your system and know where they are and what they're doing. One of the things I loved about Zopum chat software was we could see exactly where you were on the pages, and it was because Zopum was using pixels and other tagging opportunities to find out where you were in the system when they were going through. So pixels are becoming much more important in doing the tracking, and so that's why David went there. You can't do Facebook advertising these days without. You can do it, but if you don't use pixels, you're not going to know who's doing what, and you certainly can't do retargeting without that. So have I said anything wrong?
No, I think that's all accurate. I think the additional advantage is that it also ends up lowering the cost on your ads. The more you use pixel and retargeting technology. So, but that's for an advanced course that we'll have to put together.
That's right. That's right. So now, how this could relate? Well, it's not. So we're back to our Kindle book. Right, so we're getting ready to promote our Kindle book. We've created, and Teresa says, do we need to have a separate Facebook fan page for the Kindle book, or do you need to have a new tab, which would be an app basically for your fan book page, right, or your fan page?
Well, the answer is that if the subject of your book is relevant to the subject of your fan page, then there's no need to create a new one. However, you could brand a fan page specific to the name of the book if you wanted to. It's extra work, or there's an advantage to it. Depends on what the book is.
Okay, good. So we've got our book, right? And now we've got our stuff set up on a fan page in Facebook, and we might be doing the same thing as well in Google. I mean, let's just start with Facebook, and now talk about how you get more traffic via Facebook in your promotion efforts.
Well, I think that the Facebook process is the same traffic process as everything we talk about all the time, which is that you target the right people, you get engagement, you create some sort of know, like, and trust thing, and then there's a call to action for conversion. And so that's the process. You were going to ask a question?
I'm going to slow you down.
Okay.
Because you said you target the right people. Stop right there.
Okay. So I sort of covered some of that earlier by saying, don't build a like campaign to your page, but rather create some posts that are a call to action post. Hey, check out this new article, or free day for my book, or whatever it may be, and promote that post to a targeted audience, the audience that is going to be most likely to respond, and the audience you want to develop. And for many of us, I think we're talking about creating these books maybe as lead magnets or as list builders, possibly. So that's the audience that you really want to sort of have in mind as well, what are you going to do with that audience next? It's not just getting an audience to come and like your book and share it with their friends.
Okay, so now you've talked about engaging the right people,
Yep.
and then promoting to a target audience, right? So to create that target audience means you're running an ad, right?
Correct.
Okay, so that's where people get confused, because just because you've created a post in your fan page, there's that little boost button down there, which you can boost that post, or you can do all kinds of different advertising that never hits your fan page, but focuses people back to it, right? So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first about that boost button, don't ever push it.
Okay.
There are much more effective ways of targeting the right audience, and that is a good way to lose a lot of money. And that's part of how I lost a lot of money on Facebook was simply boosting posts, and ultimately to an audience that wasn't relevant to what I was trying to promote. So creating a post with a specific range of content and call to action, as we've all learned that we need to include in everything that we create, and so finding that audience that you want to target is done inside of the Facebook Ads Manager section, and a very cool and actually ultimately not very complicated platform called Audience Insights, where you can sculpt exactly the kind of audience that you want based on many different factors.
Okay. So that was Audience Insights.
Audience Insights, and I think we'll have to maybe create a little video that I can share in the group to introduce the concept.
That'd be perfect.
Yep.
So we have some other questions coming up here. Let's see. Craig says, would you build a group for that item as well as a page, or a group specifically is a group specifically better for, say, a membership site? Now, I believe that groups are good for membership or engagement and support, but I will tell you that Ellen Britt has mastered being able to use her business Facebook page as her main engagement. I mean, she very seldom puts anything on her personal page because she uses her business page as a place to do a lot of engagement. What do you think about that question?
I think that you can use a Facebook page with the right audience who are trained to engage with you very effectively. A lot of this talk about groups is partially a response to the lowering organic reach of pages, but it's also, I think, a very effective back-end tool. And I think to some extent that's what our group is used as. It's a back-end tool for you to communicate stuff, and occasionally, although you don't do this in the way that some marketers out there do, but to upsell us into other things, or to continue to keep us engaged. Now, groups have more engagement because there's, by default, an automatic notification on Facebook, so that little red alert thing up at the top right of the page, if you're a member of a group, that keeps showing up by default. Anytime somebody posts something in that group, you have to shut it off. Conversely, if it's a page, you actually have to actively turn it on to see the posts and updates of a page. Does that make sense?
It does. It does make sense. All right, and let's see. Teresa says, oh, Tim says, something that would help me with this is an outline checklist of the basic steps to take on Facebook or promote my book. Yes.
Okay, I'll have a conversation with Tim and ask him to create a mind map for us.
So, Tim, yes, that would help everybody. And let me just tell you, one of the reasons that we are, I think you can tell we're doing the Q&A thing a little differently. One of the reasons that we're doing things differently is, and going to that level system in the MyNAMS system, is that when you go to your page to get the micro workshops that we have, one of the things you're going to see is that we have more training on Facebook, more training on Google, more training on this and that, that. So as we find out what is more important to people, we'll go get training for that or build training for that and drop it in there. So obviously, we're going to be doing a lot more with Facebook in the Insiders Club. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to get David on today as well. Teresa says, I have a personal page, Teresa Beeman, and I have a business page, teresa.beeman.author. Is it okay to promote all my books from that one page? And I'm assuming she's saying from that teresa.beeman.author page. So.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Again, it speaks to the question of relevance and appropriateness. If certainly if you're using a pen name or something else, then maybe not. Maybe if you're writing on a different topic and that topic is not relevant to the audience that you've established as fans and followers of that page, maybe you want to create a different page. But if your entire subject remains the same and would continue to be relevant to that audience, go ahead and keep using the same page.
Okay, cool. And John says, are you using 22 Social as part of this? Does it or would it simplify the process? You're using that as well as other stuff, right?
I use 22 Social probably more than anything else. There are two very easy places to start, and they're both free to start. They both have paid versions. The first one is something called WooBox. There's also something called iFrame, I think, which are simply the ability to insert a secure web page. So if you have a website that has an SSL certificate, which means that it has a secure address, so instead of HTTP, it's HTTPS, then you can embed that as a tab on your Facebook page. Facebook will not allow an unsecure page to be shown as a tab inside Facebook. So WooBox is one, iFrame is another, and those are just apps. You can even just type those inside the search bar in Facebook and find them. The one that I use and I like to use the most is something called 22 Social. I think I posted something about it because several people sent me private messages on this over the last couple of weeks. There's a free app that you can install, and then you can pay to upgrade to multiple apps. But they are incredibly user-friendly. You can do all of the sort of bells and whistles tricks, including embedding pixels in the back end of stuff and putting videos in and lots of other cool things inside 22 Social. And they have a lot of free training for people who are part of the paid version. I guess it's not free, it's included. But I use it very effectively in sending people who click on an ad right into the app. And then the app is basically used as the sales funnel. I have a front end of an app which has a video, a call to action, a little button for people to click, and
okay,
then
hold it.
Yeah.
Because you've just introduced a new thing there that we need to explain, and that is app. So when you say you've got people click on an ad and they go to your app, explain what they're doing exactly.
Okay, so an app is something that simply gets housed inside a Facebook tab. You may recall in the old Facebook pages we had those little boxes up at the top. They've now moved down to the side, left-hand side. Those are tabs. You can do lots of different things with those tabs. Among them is use an app, a third-party app like some of these that I've mentioned, WooBox, iFrame, 22 Social, there's Heyo, ShortStack, there's hundreds of them out there.
Yep.
And so when I place an ad, it might be a right side ad, it might be a dark post ad that we talked about earlier that has a call to action. Click here to do something. Well, instead of sending them to a landing page outside of Facebook,
which is more expensive. Which is more expensive?
I don't know that anybody's proven that.
Okay.
and Facebook won't admit whether it is or is not. But
Okay.
marketers who sell stuff about how to market on Facebook will tell you that it is, and that's why you should buy their stuff. So,
Okay. So I
um,
interrupted. So they're clicking on your ad to go to the app.
so I send them to a what ultimately is a capture page inside Facebook, which is in the guise of an app. And I use 22 Social specifically for that. I'm not sure which John this is, but assuming that it's John who also uses 22 Social, yes.
So let me ask you a question about that. When you say you lead them to a capture page inside of Facebook, what you've done is embedded an opt-in page in that app, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, so I can embed an opt-in page that I've created on an external website, or 22 Social is just a framework to allow me to create my own opt-in page using their platform. And
so that was my point. Yep.
Yep. And with 22 Social, there is nothing to fill out. There's no form. There's just a button to click, and then there's a little Facebook little permission box that pops up that says, do you give this app permission to share your profile? And that's how I capture the lead through 22 Social. I actually get people added to my get response list when they give Facebook permission to share their email address.
And so the reason we would do that is because of the frictionless, the seamless piece of that, right? We had people inside of, where was it? I think it was in our group. It might have been another group that I belonged to that were complaining about when you do something, you click on something and Facebook pops up and says, I want to sign in with my Facebook information. So people were complaining that they don't always feel comfortable doing that, but I do it all the time because I use the same email address, as a matter of fact. And the reason I do it all the time is because it's so easy to go boom, click, boom, you're in. So it's not like it is as many steps as you can remove from the opt-in process, the more your opt-ins are going to improve. So that's the point of that, right?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that comment, Art. I already have. I'll share it with you.
Okay. Well, you have a person here who's suggesting that you might want to do some more coursework here and create something that you could actually sell to the rest of us about how to do it. So congratulations, you got some fans built from this. I think we're going to end it there with one. Except I want to come back to this last concept. Then we're going to end it, because what you've done is you've said you actually run ads on Facebook that go to the app to get people into your system. So if the app is an app that is like an opt-in page on Facebook that says, click here, click this button, get your free Kindle book. Now, a lot of us went and grabbed Joel Comm's free Kindle book last week. And it was created, by the way, using the software that is in Brian Johnson's training that we go through as well. And I'm using that software as well now for formatting the Kindle book, and it's going really well. But my point is that if people do that, that's what we're doing. We're building the funnel that gets the book distributed out to folks. And that's the point of this whole thing, is to get as many targeted people to consume your product as possible. And David has just really gone through a nice, simple process for creating a Facebook ad to an app, targeted, by the way, so that you're not wasting money to get your Kindle book.
There's a key to the system that I think we need to make sure people get, which is, actually, I don't remember when I clicked on Joel's Facebook post any point in the process where he collected my email address. Only when I went inside his book and clicked on the get more information, free offer for people who downloaded the book to get details. And actually, that wasn't even at the beginning of the book. It was at the end of the book where he said, "Here's how I built this book." Was there an opportunity for him to capture my email address? If we're all about list building all year long, I'm doing the list building up front before I even get somebody over to download the free book. I capture their contact info.
Really good point, because I felt like that was a big hole in what the process was for him, because I think it actually took you straight to Amazon, not through Facebook. It just used a Facebook post to get it out there.
Yeah.
So we are all about list building. We're not Joel Comm. We're not Alex Mendoza. We're not these other folks who are big dudes that have been doing this forever and they can live off their list. But we are about list building, and for you folks who this is your first opportunity of building a list, you always want to do it the way that David has described, because the key for you is building the list, not selling the book necessarily, but building the list, because that's always the thing that's going to make you more money. So David, we're going to end this, if you don't mind, and I just want to go through a couple of things here. Art says, great information, Mr. Bear. Thanks for sharing. And John says, I would assume that you are going to get a better email as part of that frictionless process. I don't think that's necessarily true, do you?
I don't think so either. In fact, I think I remember Nicole Dean in that discussion that we had saying that she uses a different email address for Facebook that she never ever looks at. So for 22 Social, that may actually be a downside to using that strategy.
Right. But you can always go back and add a regular opt-in in that app as well. And I do that using FanBoom, by the way. I'm going to use that.
I use FanBoom as well. They keep taking it down, so it's not always available. But it's another alternative that
right.
I think is really very, very effective.
All right, David, I really appreciate you being here, and thank you very much. And if you folks felt like this was really valuable, you want to see more of this in these Q&As, we got some Q&As, but it was specific to our topic today. And if you want to continue these kind of Q&As every week, I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to identify people, especially insiders who have an expertise. I really like this idea of getting insiders who have expertise to come in and talk about that as well. And we will try to get as much stuff cooking for that are relative to our challenges as well. I will say before we go away that January is going to be a tough month for me, because I am going to be in California for a week, and then I'm going on the cruise with a bunch of our friends here from the Insiders Group on the 25th, the 24th. So got a lot going on in January, and you guys just be a little patient. I will let you know when we might have to jigger our Q&A sessions around a little bit to make sure we get them in. You know, today's Friday, yesterday was a holiday, so we bumped it back a day, and we might have to do some of that this month. So, David, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you doing this.
It's a lot of fun. Thanks for asking.
You bet. Bye-bye.